Hello and welcome to the Sunday Times Culture Show. I'm Grant Tucker.
And I'm Makita Oliver. On this week's show, Reggie Yates' directorial debut, Pirates, a deeply nostalgic film about the turn of the millennium with an impeccable garage soundtrack. We talk to the cast of fresh, ripe new talent.
And ahead of the Royal Opera House's wonderful Christmas programme, Principal Ballerina, Marionella Nunes, tells us about leaving her home country of Argentina to join the Royal Ballet when she was just 16. And Hugo Rifkin's here to run us through the best and worst television and film out this week. Hi, Hugo.
Hello.
Hello, Hugo.
Hello.
But first, I want to know all about the British Fashion Awards. You were there on the red carpet. Give me the goss.
You'll stop it.
What were you wearing?
Yeah, so I wore a dress by a Caribbean designer, and she'd never made a dress before. She was just an artist, and I told her I'd take it to something really big and special in London, and she was just over the moon. So it was very nice to have that story, take her creation somewhere so new.
What's it like going there with your friends? Because I said you went with Lily
Yeah, I
Allen,
went with Lil.
Grimmy.
I went with Grimmy. Well, I saw Grimmy and Mish there, sat with them. It was great. You need your friends at those things, let's be honest, because it's just a really intense environment. The thing about posing is that no one says that you have to rehearse. Like, you have to practice.
Give us your best then.
I'm not doing it in front of Hugo. Not in front of Hugo.
I'm doing mine right now.
Yeah, you're
Right
doing
now.
yours. Hugo's doing it for all of us. Thank you. Right, let's talk about TV and film. That's why you're here. First, we take a look at another courtroom drama from the BBC. And it tells a familiar story, but in an unexpected way.
So I could get to do this one last thing. This speech. Because this is the last thing you'll hear. And I could have given evidence earlier, but my lawyer said don't do it. Bad idea. And I listened to that. Now, I can see I'm going to prison for murder. But the truth is that I'm innocent.
It's great, this, isn't it? I think it's really, really great. Basically, you've got him. That's Samuel Adewunmi. He's playing hero. He's in court. He's accused of murder. He's sacked his barrister, bad idea, and is defending himself. But this is basically his sort of long. The structure of the whole show is his long closing speech to the jury. And he's telling the story of how he came to be there and what's happened. He's accused of killing a drug dealer called Jamil. He says he didn't, but stuff happened. We find out what went on with his girlfriend and so on.
And this is based on a novel by Imran Mahmood, who you've interviewed.
Yes.
What he brings his own experience to this, doesn't he?
No, Imran Mahmood, he's a criminal barrister, and he's represented a lot of people who all seem to be in a similar circumstance where they felt themselves that they'd been forced into whatever had happened to them, and they were against a jury who didn't understand what they'd been going through. You don't know me, basically.
I think that's a really good point, because I think that gang culture, young black life, especially young black men, it's a particular universe that there is lots to understand that a lot of people don't understand unless you're in it, unless you see it every day.
Well, so what's so brilliant about this is it's completely about that world, and yet it's also a thoroughly mainstream drama. This is Sunday Night. The script's written by Tom Edge, who wrote Vigil.
Could not be further away from Vigil.
Could not be further away from Vigil. And so it's on the one hand, it's an edgy street drama. You know, it's about a black kid in court who's accused of murdering a drug dealer. On the other hand, it's a really exciting drama. It reminded me a little bit of The Night Of.
Nice one, BBC, giving it a proper time slot.
It's good. It's really good.
It's really worth a watch. Well, next up, Encounter from Amazon is out in cinemas now. It's an apocalyptic action film featuring alien invasion, parental kidnap, and a nationwide manhunt.
Sounds fun.
What a weekend.
Yeah.
Riz Ahmed plays Malik Khan, a desperate Marine on the run and a dad pushed to the edge.
Are aliens reproducing inside mom's guts?
No. Your mom's got guts to spare. Okay, believe me. Hey, let me show you something else. This is where we're headed. It's in Nevada. Should be there about noon tomorrow.
And we came from up here in Oregon, right?
Yeah, you got yourself a job navigating. Whoa. These muscles? What you doing growing up on me, huh? You got muscles now? Show me what you're packing.
Now, it's being billed as a sci-fi film, but it's not quite, is it?
This is a really difficult film to talk about. It's I don't want to give anything away. It's one sort of film masquerading as another sort of film. The problem is, the big appeal of it is the kind of film it really is, but people will only go and see it because they think it's the other sort of film.
What's the other sort of film?
You think what you're watching is going to be a sort of straightforward action sci-fi. This could be Bruce Willis, you know, a guy defending his kids from alien invasion. And actually, it seems sort of promising. as a sci-fi drama, albeit a bit weird with Riz Ahmed in it because it's a little bit, Hollywood trashy, and he doesn't normally do those kind of films.
He's kind of better than that, isn't he?
But then it turns into something much, much more interesting and quite fascinating, much better, really. Although my slight qualms about it is, in order to get to the brilliance, it has to fool you first that it's going to be
an action film,
not as good a film.
Right,
yeah?
right.
The last time Riz was in a movie, Sound of Metal, he was nominated for an Oscar.
Yes.
Is this a good performance? Is this an Oscar-nominating performance?
It's a brilliant performance, but almost because of that, you start off watching this film and you're kind of like, what's he doing? Why is he doing this? This is a sort of invasion of the body snatchers,
Right.
kind of, and then you realise, and he's a father, he's a father looking after his kids, dealing with mental issues. It's an incredible performance, really.
And those kids in it as well, the two boys, they are exceptional actors.
They're exceptionally good, and the interplay between them is really good. I mean, it's giving nothing away to say he's a troubled father, and they're a little bit frightened of him, but they also love him, and he's thrilled to be with them, and he's teaching them how to shoot, and he's driving recklessly through the desert, and they kind of love it, but they're also going like, can't we go home? It's worth a watch, but it's not what you think it's going to be.
Okay. All right, finally, just one of those classic Christmas comedy horror tragedies. This one is with Keira Knightley, Lucy Punch, and the Golden Globe-nominated star of Jojo Rabbit, Roman Griffin Davis. Silent Night is out today in cinemas.
Did you bleed on the carrots?
Will I die?
Yep, probably.
Grandma!
Happy Christmas.
You're still alive?
Yes, I think so.
Jesus, they're early.
Tony and Simon robbed the petrol station.
Oh, what fun.
We make tremendous criminals. I felt so good.
It seems like one of those films like, did we need to make this? I mean, and also actors that I love and are brilliant, but it's like, what are we all doing here? Everyone seems a little lost, I thought.
I think this is another film that pivots to being a very different kind of film, but I think we're allowed to say that because this is what it's billed at, right? It's a sort of posh country house party that is an apocalypse film. And so it begins as a sort of very Richard Curtis, although not quite parody of Richard Curtis, which is what I found a little bit weird tonally, but just very much like, posh people swearing at each other and all fancying the wrong person and so on.
And their kids swearing.
And their kids swearing a lot,
That was quite good, that bit, though.
Yeah, the kids swear really a lot, and most of them are dreadful in one way or another, and some of them, and they all have, there's a lot of subtext, a lot of Peter's friends kind of stuff going on.
I got a Peter's Friends vibe.
Very strong, right? Very strong. But gradually, you come to realise that actually, no, they're there because it's the end of the world and they're not going to get through the night.
And if it was the end of the world, is this the group of people that you would hang around with at your last moments?
This was my issue. I kept being like, just turn on the news. I want to see what's happening. There's a bit of that works quite well. It's not just when they're finding out about the end of the world. Everyone's resigned, everyone's prepared. This is obviously something that they've been dealing with for a long time, like a sort of a looming Brexit, if you like, but from more than just the European Union, from life itself. And so that is kind of there, and it doesn't not work, but it's weird.
I'm sorry, we're ending there. It is just weird, that
It's a weird film. It's a weird film.
Thank you so much, Hugo. That was wonderful. Coming up, a first look at Sunday's Culture magazine and Marionella Nunes on the most challenging ballets she's danced and how British audiences differ from South American ones.
But now, the cast of Pirates, Elia Edosa, Jordan Peters, Reda Elewaza, tell us about transporting themselves back to the turn of the millennium. Remember it?
How dare you?
This isn't just any new year. It's the new year. Anyone who's anyone is gonna be there. And I'm gonna be there. We're gonna be there.
Look, whatever happens to Sophie, I'm starting the year 2000 at twice as flipping nice with my best mates. You want the same thing, right?
Look, I know you're not asking me, but for what it's worth, I do. Yeah, I want things to be nice. Twice.
Pirates is basically the world's shortest road trip story. It follows the Ice Cold crew, Tutan, who's a DJ, Capo, who's the manager, and Kiddo, who's the MC. And we all want to go to a party in South London for the new millennium. We're just trying to find tickets to the best night out, really. It's bathed in the subculture of garage.
Yo, T. Caps.
We got to speak to like some, garage legends, DJ Spoonie, Lonyo. Basically all the music that Reggie wrote into the script, we made like playlists and stuff, so we all were listening to that constantly. And Reggie's a bank of knowledge because he was there at the time. He was 17 at the time, so he knew the culture.
Back in those times, you own the song, you own the record, but all these streaming services, you don't own the music, you're slightly renting it. So it's like, I think people don't have that same ownership and care over music and song as they used to.
You have to go to the club sometimes to hear the first, like, someone's new music for the first time, because everyone's there and connected and they're all listening at the same time.
Reggie would tell stories like how he'll go into the shop and be like, yo, I heard this song on the radio, it goes da 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 da, and the guy's like, yeah, I got you, and then find it, and that makes it so special because you buy it for like £5-6. Like, we don't buy individual songs anymore, we got millions.
I'm in. We're going through a renaissance in general, from TV to film, things like Small Acts, I May Destroy You, seeing black leads and black people being represented in the way you want to be represented. And I think it's a change that's happening. It's gradual, but it's happening. But I don't believe it's black cinema. I think it's just cinema. When it comes to black and ethnic actors, we're breaking down doors internationally. And I think sometimes it's a bit irritating because it's like all the great talent from Britain has to go to America for people to respect us in England, you know what I mean? You see people like Daniel Kaluuya, Damson Idris,
Riz Ahmed as well, who had to go to
David
the States.
Oyelowo, it's like all these people have to go to the States to kind of build that reputation, and then suddenly when they get big over there, everyone loves them in London. Love us from the beginning, man.
Yeah, man.
And experience and share our journey with us.
There's this thing sometimes, I think, with, you know, whenever people of colour are in a movie, it becomes a movie about the people of colour.
You know, we've got movies that tell important stories about gang culture and drugs and stuff. That is important to tell, but there's also other stories to tell.
This movie is genius because anyone from anywhere can relate to this movie. We can all relate to heartbreak, we can all relate to friendship and communication, all of that. At the end of the day, it's 3 people who want to have fun, and that's it.
Yeah. You said it perfectly.
You said it perfectly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What wonderful, eloquent young men, and they all love each other, I think. And it looks like they had so much fun making that film. Pirates is out now in cinemas. Now, a first look at Sunday's Culture magazine. It includes Jonathan Dean's interview with Olivia Colman, Jessie Buckley, Dakota Johnson, and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Who hasn't he been speaking
It's
to?
just like blah, blah, blah with Jonathan. They're talking about the first film Maggie's directed, a taboo-breaking adaptation of Eleanor Ferrante's novel, The Lost Daughter. I'm so into Maggie Gyllenhaal directing. I think this is really nice. I want to see this.
I'll go and see that one. And Valdemir Januszczak investigates the secret benefactor behind plans to turn Reading Prison into a home of the arts. Oscar Wilde, he says, would be proud.
I'm proud. I like that idea a lot.
And from one arts venue to another, I went to the iconic Royal Opera House to meet principal ballerina Marionella Nunes, who told me why her heart was always set on the London stage.
Royal Ballet was my dream company. As I was training and as a student, I had, you know, all the VHS and all the books about the company, and all my favorite ballerinas were in this company.
And how were you told that you had got in? Did you get a letter? Was it like Harry Potter with a letter or phone call?
No, so that was the thing. I had to wait quite a bit. It was like suspense. They had sent a fax.
Old school.
You believe a fax machine? Yeah, so a fax saying that that I had my place. We realized that I was too young. I was 15, so I couldn't work in Europe. So they said, why don't you go to the Royal Ballet School for 1 year? So a year later, then I joined the company when I was 16.
How do London audiences compare with South American ones?
They are similar in the way that they are both very passionate about ballet. If I'm doing a solo and, you know, I do something that they like, they will literally start clapping right away. Which here, people wait until the end of the solo to clap.
It's very British.
So it's very like, so, and at the beginning, it caught me by surprise. I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not doing this right. What's happening? But it's just a different way.
So now let's fast forward to 2020, which is a huge year for all of us, but especially people in the arts like yourself. Do you remember when you got the phone call and said, we're going to have to close the Opera House?
I was lucky. I did the opening night of Swan Lake, and then I also did the last Swan Lake before we got the news. And I remember coming to my dressing room that day, and I just wanted to hug this incredible place, this Opera House, because it was the first time that I came in, and suddenly it was very quiet. And even though we didn't know for how long it was happening, you could sense that something quite powerful was about to come.
Walking through these doors again after them being closed for so long and going into the dressing rooms and all, what was that like?
I can't quite describe it, but it definitely was very emotional. It was powerful. Like you have no idea how much I miss this place. But then even more powerful was when we walked on the stage. I wanted to kiss every part of that path and definitely the stage. I think I did. Maybe on my own, I probably did go like that.
Which of the roles have you found most physically demanding? Which ones have you enjoyed the most?
It changes. Like Swan Lake is very challenging. Anything you do on the stage is challenging. And the company does it. We are the best. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Royal Ballet is the best. I think let's end it there.
I love that Marionella Nunes actually has a really dirty laugh.
Marionella Nunes. I love saying it.
Yes.
The Nutcracker at the Royal Opera House runs until January and will be streamed in cinemas on the 9th and 12th of December. Should we go?
Shall we actually?
Yeah, I want to go.
Let's do it.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. We'll be here same time next week, where Matt Hemley, news editor of The Stage, will run us through some of the alternatives to the traditional panto.
Fair enough. The alternatives. And we'll speak to Tom Hollander and Riz Ahmed about The King's Man, their new film set in the early 1900s, which is, of course, the prequel to King's Men. Do continue to like and share the Sunday Times Culture Show, just like our producer Jen's grandmother in Australia does every week. Thank you, Joy.
But till next week, goodbye.
Goodbye.